Yes, Chair, I'll just turn the live stream on.
Okay. Welcome to tonight's License Subcommittee meeting. My name is Councillor Mercy Ume, and I'll be chairing tonight's meeting. The meeting is being broadcast live on Council's YouTube channel. If I lose connection, Councillor Borakwan will take over for me. I would like to remind all participants of few housekeeping points. Please keep your microphone muted unless you are speaking. Please keep your camera turned on when you speak at the hearing. Please note that the chat function has been disabled. If parties wish to add any additional information other than their allocated time to speak, they must use the raise hand function so that they are not missed. I would like to ask all members to keep their questions and comments brief to the point. Now I move to item 1 on our agenda. Apologies for absence.
None, Chair.
None. Okay. Item 2, declaration of interests. Do members have any declaration of interests?
Not from me, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Item 3, National Hotel Citizen M, basement to level 4, Olympia Exhibition Center, Hammersmith Road, London, West 14, BUX. I would like to ask everyone participating to introduce yourself as I call upon you. We should have with us, I'm going to use the first name, Matthew, the solicitor. It's Matthew.
I'm here, sorry. I'm here and I'll be presenting the application on behalf of the applicants this evening. Good evening.
Thank you, Matthew. Dominic.
Hi there, Dominic Holmes.
No worries. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, you, resident engagement.
Yes, yeah, resident engagement. Okay. Andrew.
Hello, yes, I'm the operations director here at Olympia.
Okay. Abby.
Hi, Abe. I'm the director of hospitality supporting hotels, theater, and food and beverage.
Okay. Tom.
Hello, I'm the on the hotel development team at Olympia.
Okay. Then we have Lorna. Lorna. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, there should be Gillian on the call as well from the Olympia team.
Yep. Yeah, I'm here, Julian. I'm the venue director for the exhibition business.
Okay. Okay, I didn't see her name here. Okay, we have Edrin.
Present, thank you, Chair.
Okay, we have Emmanuel.
Present, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Objecting, we have Pierre and Mary. They are residents. They are not here. So,
Chair, sorry, yes, Mary is on the call. I've admitted her, but her microphone and camera are off at the moment. Pierre hasn't managed to join.
Okay. Can I ask our legal advisor officer, what do you suggest about Pierre? We let him in when he comes, or?
Yes, Chair. I suggest we proceed, and when he joins, he can we can take it from there.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Mary, then Mary Cameron is here. So is Mary's camera working now?
Mary's unmuted her microphone, so she should be able to reply, Chair, but she's got her camera turned off at the moment.
Does it work now?
Mary, no, we can't see you.
But can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it would be nice if we can see you. But if your camera is not working, that's fine.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Okay, then. You know, Pierre is not here, but you are here. So, procedure. Before we begin, I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda supplement, Agenda A, containing additional information was published and circulated to all parties on 15th of April 2024, and supplementary agenda B and C were published and circulated to all members on 16th of April 2024. Before we consider the application today, please may I quickly explain the procedure the committee will follow. We will be hearing from the following. The licensing officer will introduce the application, the objectors, and finally, the applicants. Usually, each party will address the committee for a maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee may ask questions of any party or other person present at the hearing. Except committee members, no party has the right to ask questions of any party at any time during the hearing. Following the presentation and question, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up their cases or representation. The committee will then retire for deliberation. Upon its return, I will announce the committee's decision. So we have the presenting officer. Can I have the licensing officer, Lorna, to present the application?
Thank you, Chair. On the 26th of February 2024, TLT solicitors submitted an application on behalf of the Olympus Property Holdings Limited, the applicant, for a new premises licence in respect of the premises known as the National Hotel Citizen M, basement to level 4, Olympia Exhibition Centre, Hammersmith Road, London, W148UX. The applicant proposes to operate the premises as a hotel with all facilities ancillary to that function, including the licensable activities being sought. The site will include a restaurant and bar as well as other guest facilities. The applicant is seeking the following licensable activities: the sale of alcohol both on and off the premises, Monday to Sundays between the hour midnight to midnight for residents and bona fide guests, Monday to Sundays between the hours of 7 a.m. till midnight for non-residents, and non-standard timing, the exhibition of film, indoors only, Monday to Sundays between the hours of midnight to midnight, the provision of late night refreshment indoors only, Monday to Sundays from 11 p.m. till 5 a.m, the proposed opening hours of the premises Monday to Sunday between the hours of midnight to midnight. The non-standard timings applied for are for non-residents of the hotel only. All licensable activities will be extended till 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve, with the premises closing 30 minutes thereafter. The applicant has proposed a number of additional steps within their operating schedule to promote the 4 licensing objectives if the application is granted this evening. The application has also been advertised in alignment with the requirement of the Licensing Act 2003. During the consultation period, the licensing section received 12 representations from local residents objecting to the overall development of the overall Olympia development. Out of these 12 applications, there has been no specific objections to the hotel application. Therefore, it's important to note that not all comments are relevant to the applications being considered this evening. There has been previous adverse enforcement history for some of the current Olympia licenses, which is detailed in the report. And I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda, supplementary agenda A containing additional information from the applicant was published and circulated to all parties on the 15th of April, and supplementary agendas B's and C's were published and circulated to all parties on the 16th of April, which included additional information from objectors. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Lorna. Now we have to...
Sorry, I can just confirm that Pierre Falcon has just joined the meeting.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Charles. Pierre, we are happy to see you, to know that you are here. And as we said, I'm allowing you 5 minutes to do your presentation. So do Mary or Pierre, which one wants to go first? Pierre? Okay. Mary.
Yeah,
okay, Mary, you go first. Huh?
Pierre, you're muted at the moment. You need to take yourself off mute.
Yeah, sorry, I have some issues with the audio, and because I'm still in the office, I let Mary go first, and I got the setup try to work.
Okay, Mary, you go first, and you have 5 minutes, which starts now.
I actually didn't realize how this meeting worked, so I'm not fully prepared. I just, as a resident, I was objecting to the roof terrace late night opening with music that was late into the evening, that seemed like it was later than other pubs in the area are allowed. And the reason, I've lived in the area for 20 years, over 20 years, and I enjoy the area because it is residential and convenient to the city, but it is quite a quiet area. I'm in the Brook Green area, and I'm concerned about loud music at night time for my peacefulness, my family's peacefulness. I have children, that I'm concerned that noise carries at night, and that I didn't think it was necessary to be so late outside in the high air. So that's why I objected to, I didn't realize I would be coming to a meeting to talk about it.
So is that all you want to say?
Yes.
Okay. All right then. Thank you so much, Mary. Can we have Pierre to you have 5 minutes, Pierre, to tell us, make your comments or whatever you want to say against them. Whatever.
Sure, I fully echo Mary's concern as one of the residents living nearby Olympia. I made a cumulative representation against all 20 licensing that were brought forward by Olympia on the same basis of Mary, that they will create significant nuisance for residents in terms of antisocial behavior, traffic, parking, potential littering, and disturbance of peace and quiet at night. Given these concerns, and there have been examples in the past when a venue was operated by Olympia on the rooftop called Pergola that caused significant disturbance to the residents, and that was only one. I have to say that overall, I kind of recognize the need for some of these venues to cater to visitors for the Olympia exhibition, office workers, and guests to the theater, music venues. But I believe that it is possible to do so with more considerate operating hours, and limiting the opening hours could allow the venue to serve their intended purpose without negatively impacting the local community. In my presentation, I brought examples of similar venues in Hammersmith Town Centre or Westfield, where opening hours are more restricted, around 9. If you look at Westfield restaurants, opening hours, they're between 9 and 10 o'clock, and they don't go further into the night. And most importantly, there is a significant concerns around how these allegedly more than 30,000 people expected to come and go from Olympia at these venues will be able to quietly disappear in the middle of the night in absence of a relevant transport system. The tube trains at Olympia do not work, or at least they work only over the weekends, intermittently, I have to say. There is only overground station which serves Olympia, and free line buses. So there is significant concern. So now this amount of people will live and walk from Olympia to Shepherd Bush, walk from Olympia to Hammersmith, walk from Olympia to West Kensington's, walk from Olympia to Baron's Course in the middle of the night.
Okay. Thank you, Pierre, for your presentation. I'm going to ask Matthew to have 10 minutes to present his case as well. Okay.
Would you like me to start, Chair, or will there be questions of the representatives now? happy to take it.
No, until we hear from you, then we can ask questions. But first, okay, can I ask, before you speak, can I ask one of our officers to clarify why we are here today? Because I can hear some of our residents talking about transport and all that. And can I have Adrian, please, to clarify why we are here today, please?
Yes, of course, Chair. Well, I suppose it's worth clarifying that this application, although there's a number of applications in for Olympia at the moment for a number of different licenses, excuse me, and provisional statements, this application in particular is for one of the hotels. And from what I understand, the hotel doesn't have a roof terrace as part of the application. So I'm not sure if residents are aware of that, but there are a number of different applications. And I think the representations that have been made are generic generally to all of the applications as a whole. But just to clarify that this particular application doesn't have a roof terrace. So that was it, really. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure our residents are quite clear now why we are here. There's no roof terrace on what we are dealing with today. So let's bear that in mind. Thank you, Adrian. Can now I ask the solicitor, Matthew, to do his own presentation for us. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, committee. We're delighted to appear before you this evening in order to introduce an exciting opportunity for us, and we believe many others, to develop the National Hall into a first-class hotel. As Adrian has identified, this is a hotel application. The proposed operator will be Citizen M, a well-known operator and brand nationally and internationally, and there is a presenter introducing their business contained within your agenda. It's a limited application, also as Adrian has identified, and Lorna. Midnight save for residents and guests for alcohol, no recorded music, no live music, film to be permitted so as to facilitate screens within bedrooms, Netflix for want of a brand name, and no external area. And as you will have seen from the plans, the premises effectively starts on the first floor. A number of the representations and indeed your policy talk about controls being a significant part of the considerations you will later have. You will see a significant operating schedule within the application. That operating schedule was developed in dialogue on a pre-application consultation basis with both the licensing authority and the Metropolitan Police. Further controls, perhaps not all relevant to today, but do include planning controls. Their planning permission for this development has been ongoing for 7 or 8 years in its various forms. There are construction and materials considerations and restraints. There are lease and management obligations imposed on all the operators by the developer. There is a public realm overlay where we will be operating the open parts of the premises, and that is all set out within the submissions in the supplementary agenda. There are a number of attachments and enclosures within the papers. I will canter you through those if I may. The operating schedule I've touched on, the presenter I've mentioned. There is a document that touches on your licensing policy and brings to your attention those parts of the policy that we say are significant. There are extensive written submissions which certainly endeavour to address all of the concerns that you and the residents have brought before this matter this evening. There is an Olympia-wide presentation just to introduce some context. There is a residential engagement report which sets out some of the residential engagement that has been ongoing for a number of years. There are a little schedule of hours that are permitted by you as authority for premises within the Westfield development that is touched on in a number of the representations. There is a copy of the pre-application consultation report produced by Mr. Overton. There's a map and identification of other premises. There are plans. There are the representations. I can't hope to cover 250 pages in my allotted 10 minutes. You will, I hope, be relieved to know, but I do propose just to address you on 4 topics that have been raised by the residents in the materials. The first is the Westfield issue. All we are seeking to put before you is to explain what the license permissions are that we could discover from your licensing register. We are not offering to make comment about the opening and or closing times of the various premises. That is a commercial operational matter for the individual operators, about which candidly I know nothing, but the licensing hours are set out, what you have previously granted, and that clearly says that premises can trade until 11 and or 12. Transport is touched on by a number of the representors, touched on in the submissions at paragraph 29, page 12 of the supplementary. The officer report at page 5, paragraph 3 says there are several options. Your licensing policy at page 4 says that London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham has exceptional transport facilities. There is a PTAL assessment referenced. That is a Transport for London assessment. It is not mine, and you will see the standards that are brought to bear there. There is overground, underground, bus, cycle, and car transportation. Avoiding, if you will, any introduction of politics to this evening, you'll all be familiar with the ULEZ scheme, which I'll sort of leave at saying no more than it does not encourage cars on any view. In terms of taxis, it's fair that a hotel may draw more taxis. I think that that's right. But it would not be fair to say to such an extent that it could possibly fairly be said to undermine the licensing objectives. And you'll also be aware that I think more than 50% of all taxis in London are now electric, which attends to issues of emissions and noise. Parking is touched on in the representations. Your policy is very clear about that, page 21 of the policy, policy number 3, looking at a harmful and unmanageable increase in car parking, leading to a negative impact on the licensing objectives relating to crime, disorder, antisocial behaviour, nuisance and vehicle emissions. There is nothing, we say, respectfully, that could possibly lead to that conclusion for this application. There may be more taxis, there may be more cars, but will the licensing objectives be undermined? We say quite clearly not. Residential engagement is challenged within the representations and the supplementary materials. What we say is this: we have done very, very significant residential engagement, going back years, all set out in the reports referenced within the submissions. 7,000 people on a letter drop, 500 people on email, 200 feedback forms, dozens of meetings and engagements, meetings about licensing January and March, 70 attendees, I think, in January. It is a point made by one of the representatives that they've not been listened to. We would, I'm afraid, say that 11 relevant representations to this application, when we have been involved in a dialogue with 7,000, is very clear evidence that we have been listening and appropriately responding. And I do ask you to bear that context in mind. Cumulative effect or impact is touched on in the representations. We don't say that that is fairly raised here. It's a hotel. Most will reside in the hotel. There's no entertainment, no destination restaurant. Hours are in line with your policy. Non-residents are restricted. Public realm we've touched on. The operator is first class, and you will see some additional commentary about them in these submissions. And as your policy at page 22, policy 4 says, you consider all of that in the context of what additional planning controls, police controls, enforcement controls, closure powers, closure notices, and review powers that are available to the various officers, and the lack of any responsible authority making a representation to this application, not least through reference to paragraph 912 of the national guidance, will be a point on which you will later reflect, I am sure. Finally, in terms of the hours, at page 82 of the representations, it's suggested that the hours should be restricted between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. for these operations. You will all appreciate that is not a commercially viable proposition. The application hours, we say, unashamedly are appropriate. They are reflective both of your policy and they are reflective of the local position, which is set out on your map plan. There is probably, unusually for me, nothing more to say. I think I've just about finished in time. We'll be inviting you to grant the application, but obviously happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Matthew. Now, can I ask committee members to ask questions of any party about the application and issues that has been raised at the hearing in relation to 4 licensing objectives: the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, the protection of children from harm. So can I ask the committee members to ask any question? Members?
I have a couple of questions, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who's spoken so far. I'm going to ask, really for the purposes of clarification, the applicant a couple of questions. I should declare there are quite a few applications in from Olympia, and I shall be sitting on most of them. So, so some of the questions I'm going to ask today are directly relevant to this application, but you'll appreciate that I may be considering sort of broader aspects and how everything ties in together when I ask those questions. Because my first question really is, obviously Olympia is a large site, and the application we're dealing with at the moment and the one we're going to be dealing with later today are, I would suggest, relatively smallish parts of the whole. But I'm trying to find out and understand how they integrate. So specifically, one of the things that's often an issue with licensing applications for venues such as this are things like deliveries and waste management. So I wonder whether you could just give me an overview of how that works, specifically, obviously, with the hotel that we're considering now. But I have made an assumption that that's part of a greater part of waste management for Olympia as a site. So if you could perhaps talk me through that, I'd be very grateful. I'll take that. So the logistics, which includes the waste for the Citizen M, is handled through a large new loading bay facility that is under the main scheme. So all of that work will be conducted indoors. There are corridors from Citizen M that take things to that loading bay, so that any noise of handling waste and noise from the logistics of unloading will be contained within that loading bay. Bookings will be on a booking basis to make sure that we stagger the vehicles. It will be a fully managed loading facility combined with the other occupiers of the development.
from a waste point of view, we will have the full recycling streams and all the things that you would expect, and consolidated waste collection across the site to make sure that we minimise the number of vehicles.
Thank you. And what sort of time of day are the collections taken for that?
That is to be finalised. We will be looking to do that around local restrictions and around peak traffic. We're currently assessing the total volumes, the number of movements, but we'll be trying to do that to create as little disruption as possible.
Thank you. And the entrance to that facility, is that, I should say I do know the local geography relatively well, is that through Blythe Road or?
The vehicles will enter through Blythe Road, and I think they will exit onto Hammersmith Road. If the vehicles are particularly large, they have to go out onto Blythe Road.
Fine, thank you. And presumably the reverse, or the same in reverse, is true of deliveries?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, that's great. In terms of, there's a restaurant within the facility. Can you just outline to me the size and the capacity of the restaurant and the type of offering that that's making?
So it's a fairly small dining room place, and it's really meant for a breakfast offering in the morning. Citizens M has an offering for their in-house guests that really focuses around a modified, heavier continental, if you will, with scrambled eggs and fruit, but it's really tied into the room piece in terms of, you can either buy it or it comes with the room piece itself, but fairly small footprint, only operating for breakfast, and then it's cordoned off after that. So
capacity about 60?
Yeah, 60 to 80, depending on the size. So fairly small.
So it's not designed as a sort of function space in addition to the breakfast serving?
That's correct. It's not a full service restaurant at all. It really is just an amenity as part of Citizens M's program for loyalty guests and also availability to be purchased. So.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just checking my notes here. I note there was a lot of reference to transport, and again, I guess this is kind of less of an issue for the hotel applications than for some of the other Olympia applications. But my understanding is that currently there's an overground service which runs, I think it's 2 or 3 trains an hour in each direction. But the district line, which I think would be the most used part of public transport, certainly within London, the district line service to Kensington Olympia only runs kind of at peak times in the morning and the evening and at the weekends. Has there been any discussion with TfL to change that once Olympia opens fully?
I'll answer that. We spent many years, 7 years now, talking to Transport for London about both the tube and the overground lines. You may recall that we had a big campaign in 2018, 2019, 2020, where we had 10,000 signatures on a petition to get the district line fully enabled again. We worked very closely with the local the Labour leader, Councillor Cowan at Council, and also the MP, Andy Slaughter, to help us in that campaign. We didn't get very far, unfortunately, but we have found more progress with Transport for London in the last 12 months around the overground line. And we've recently signed a heads of terms with Transport for London to fund extra trains on the overground line, not on the district line. The district line, as you say, at the moment there are about 3 trains very early morning between 7 and 8 a.m. and very late in the afternoon, in the day, between post 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. What we are, at the moment, there are 6 trains an hour in each direction on the overground. We are funding that to go up to 7.5 trains an hour. So roughly 1 every 8 minutes, which we think is much better. And each train has a capacity of 800. So we do think that will help, but we are hoping that through that more collaborative approach with Transport for London, that they will be encouraged to help us and activate the district line more, but we suspect it probably won't be in peak hours. There is too much conflict in the way the track is designed. It's a one-way track, it has to cross the Wimbledon line and the Richmond line, and it really does disrupt the services on those two more demanded routes. But we do hope that there might be more chance of an off-peak service, and that would be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. during the day, which would work for a lot of our arrivals and departures, and then hopefully after 7 p.m. at night, which again would work for a lot of our evening arrivals and departures. So there's no guarantees of that, but we hope that with funding and this improved relationship with Transport for London in a collaborative way, we hope to bring forward not just more overground trains, but hopefully in time more district line trains.
Thank you. I think, Chair, that's it for me for now. Although, if anything sparks a question, I may come back later.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Question from our committee.
Yes. Chair, sorry, I was waving my hand, but I should have just spoken up. Can I, I've got a question about this 10 p.m. Licensing upper limit that is referenced by several of the objectors. And I just want to sort of try and get to where that's come from and what the reality is. So my first question towards either of the licensing officers with regards to Westfield. So you'll have seen that quite a few of the objectors have referenced this 10 p.m. Time limit, which the applicant has sort of contested and so on. I know that the reality is a lot of the licensed establishments within Westfield close at 10, but is that actually the license, the alcohol and late night refreshment license that they have, or is it just that they have a later license and they're sort of choosing not to operate beyond 10 for whatever reason?
Without going through all the licenses and confirming the times, but for example, there's a Pizza Express license at Westfield. I just had a glance, and their permitted licensable hours, as an example, are for the sale of alcohol on and off the premises Monday to Sunday, 9:30 till midnight. The provision of late night refreshment from 11 Monday to Sunday 11 till 12:30, and playing of recorded music Monday to Sunday 9:30 till 12:30. So they might permitted longer than 10 p.m. if they choose to close. I don't know for definitely, not checking it. If they choose to close at 10 p.m, that's a choice, but actually they're licensed to longer than that. So without going through each individual, there's obviously quite a lot of licenses there, but that's just one example that there is permitted hours past 10 p.m. If they choose to use it or not is a different question.
Okay, and then to Pierre and Mary, if there's absolutely no reason that you should know the details of the licensing conditions of each establishment. But can I just ask, did you also realise that the establishments in Westfield had later licences, or did you take the information just from being that obviously they closed at 10, or they sort of only served till 10 at the moment? That's what they choose to do.
So the information was taken from the Westfield website. So looking at the Westfield website, there are 62 dining outlets, out of which only 3 close after 10 p.m. And also to note that Westfield is a fully self-contained unit served by 2 tube stations, a dedicated bus hub, and much less in a much less residential district as Olympia it is. So something to bear in mind as well.
Yeah,
and from my perspective, I didn't quote Westfield, but in the area of Brook Green, there are several pubs that have outside drinking facilities, and you have to go inside. I thought it was around 10 o'clock at night, the one right in Brook Green and in that area, which is fair enough. if there's an outside kind of activity, why should it have different rules from the other things in the neighborhood? So that's what I would quote.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. As I said, I mean, the times that certain establishments choose to operate and then the actual license they have are not often the same. And I appreciate, as I said, as residents, you will go by the information of their opening hours, which I think is fair. But also, I think we're discussing as a committee. I think that comparing Olympia and Westfield, I think it's easy to do because they've seen, in the same bar and they're large establishments and so on. But Westfield is also in quite a residential area. We get a lot of contact about their sort of arrangements and so on as well. So it is difficult to kind of compare the two. And then to the applicants, so whoever is best placed to sort of answer this, just following on from the transport question, obviously hotels do attract by their nature increased taxi movement, transporting guests to and from the location. But do you also, in your sort of parking arrangements, the sort of drop-off arrangements, so on, accommodate for coaches? Because I can see that might also cause an issue because the road space in that area is very, very narrow. And I'm just thinking about sort of late night and so on, whether that might be an issue.
If I take that one, so just to kind of clarify the room numbers, they're relatively small hotels. One is 146 rooms, the Citizen Inn. I know we're not talking about the other one, but just for reference, it's 204 keys, the other one. So they're not the sort of venues we'd expect coach arrivals at. If there are coach arrivals, they can be accommodated in the logistics centre, along with our space for 22 heavy goods vehicles. They could temporarily pull up along Hammersmith Road, but that would not be ideal. And they could, in extremis, go down Olympia Way, which is trafficable, although reserved for pedestrianisation and only really for emergencies and servicing. But yes, we acknowledge that there is likely to be an uptick in taxis. There is a taxi drop-off dedicated to both hotels. One is within the bollarded Olympia Way for the other application, and this one is at the southern end of Olympia Way, where there is a recess from Hammersmith Road.
Are you intending to have a cab rank for licensed black taxis on the site?
Yes, there is one already, although temporarily not in place because of our pit lane for the construction works, but there is one originally along Hammersmith Road, and that will continue to remain. Subject to what happens with potentially the cycleway 9, which we believe is still being planned for roughly 24 months after we complete. But I think the intention would be still to retain that cab rank on Hammersmith Road.
But yeah, and that would be to service the whole site, not just the hotels. So that would be for exhibition goers who aren't necessarily staying overnight.
Yes, it would.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. No further questions from me at this time.
Thank you very much. I think the committee members have almost asked all the questions that need to be asked. But I know that Matthew has already said something about resident engagement, and I just have to ask this question because one of them complained about the engagement. So could you explain again the engagement you had with our community, with the residents, and the outcome? I know you have said the outcome, but still, Mary or one of them wasn't happy about the consultation. So please, Louise, I know you are in charge of consultation. So could you tell us how you were able to do the consultation and the outcome of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mercy. It was, as many of you know, we've been talking to the public about this project since we very first bought the site. In fact, we started in 2017. We've built up a great rapport with many of the residents. We did a lot of consultation during the pre-app period, and we've continued it all the way through. So we regularly hold drop-ins where we talk about construction, where we talk about planning updates, if there have been design changes, and we have the full team available. As well as doing that regularly, we also do more consultation events as well. For this licensing application in particular, we've sent out a very detailed invitation, which should have been attached within the application details for this, that really clearly explained exactly what the licenses were going to be for which areas of the site and for what times. So that was sent out to our database of 7,000 residents it was posted to, and then it was also emailed to our database of 500 residents as well. We held one drop-in exclusively on the licensing it's on the licensing specifically, but we did have other topics of conversation at the same time. But we made very clear that that session would be about licensing. We had a lot of people coming to that one. I think we had approximately 70 for that application. We did have a lot of conversations with people. Generally, the feedback around these licensing applications was they were as expected. We have been talking about these times for a long time. It was set out in our planning application as well. It goes without saying, though, that not everybody is always happy with these things. And we do appreciate that. And we do try and listen and accommodate where we can. We do try and make changes and make sure, for example, that we're working with Andrew on the operational side of things to really minimise the impact that we are having on our neighbours. We completely appreciate, though, that this is a change in the area, and we are trying to genuinely work with residents, and we'll keep that relationship going and just try and take people on the journey with us. And we'll always just try and improve what we're doing and how we do it. I think that's probably, we're continuing to consult with people at the moment. We have had, since that sort of more licensing focused session, we have had sessions since then. We've had the information on the licensing available there. Just to say that the format of those sessions is a drop-in. So we have boards, we have screens, we have information, and people can come around and talk to us. So it's true that we don't give a formal presentation, but we're here and people can come and talk to us.
Thank you, Louise. And thank you, because I see that you have engagement officers that will be engaging with the local community to find out more what their needs are. So I don't have much questions. Do committee members have questions? Any more questions from the members, committee members? Okay.
Not from me.
None from you, okay. Okay, then, and now may we go for summing up? Please, can I have the parties to sum up briefly as possible? The licensing officer, Lona, could you sum up?
Nothing further to add, Chair.
Okay, then I'm going to go to Per. Per, you have 3 minutes to sum up. So could you sum up what you want, from all the comments you have had, could you sum up? Just 3 minutes, please. Pierre?
Thank you, Councillor. Really, nothing to add. If not that, the residents are extremely concerned around the level of increased traffic that is going to happen through a number of these applications. I know the hotel, it's a small part of it, but hotels bring cars, bring taxis, brings Uber drivers, and so forth. And we haven't seen any specific traffic plan that addresses all these concerns. The roads around Olympia are one-way roads where they're easily roadblocked, as it happened in the past for major shows. This will add to the pressure, and the venues inside. While we understand that the hotel obviously cannot close at 6 p.m. or 9 p.m., but the venues inside the hotel, at least those should be restricted to more less late opening hours, again, to minimize the disruption for traffic and people wandering around and trying to get to the station.
Okay, thank you. Can we have Mary to have 3 minutes to sum up, Mary?
I don't have anything to add other than to say that ideally, we just want to make sure that it's not noisy and not disruptive in the neighborhood. And I think it's been said.
Okay, thank you very much. Then can I have Matthew to sum up? Matthew, I'll allow you 6 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm optimistic I won't need all 6, but thank you anyway. So just in terms of the hours issue, I just will refer you to page 22 of your policies 3 and 4 when you come to retire. The hours are properly in line with the hours and the proposed terminal hours that your policy sets out. Those appear to be fairly reflected in and arguably are slightly more extensive at Westfield in terms of the permitted hours. I entirely accept that the point is made that the operations may choose to close earlier. Our point was simply that the Westfield licenses are in line with or slightly more extensive than this proposal. Transport, we could spend more than 6 minutes discussing transport. I entirely accept. There is work to be done and work continues to be done. But I do say that both the commentary in your licensing policy at page 4 and the Transport for London PTAL assessment of the site does lend itself to this operation having a very minimal adverse impact, if any. The point has been made that the predominant concern is about cars, taxis, and Uber vehicles. But one is careful to remind oneself that what needs to, or the equation needs to develop to conclude that the additional cars, taxis, and Ubers, indeed other vehicles, would in and of themselves lead to an undermining of the licensing objectives and respectively. I just can't see that on a premises of this size and scope, and for importantly, in the context of this development and all that is going on with this development, that would be a fair conclusion. I do accept Councillor Stanton's point that the context is important, and I recognise that, but we say unashamedly that the context piece is very much in favour of this application, and you've heard from and will reflect on Andrew's comments about what we call the public realm management. We touched on waste, we touched on deliveries, but it's significantly more extensive than that. It's CCTV throughout, it's security throughout, it's litter and waste management throughout, and so forth. And that is all touched on in the submissions. Fundamentally, the question comes down to this: will this operation, if open, be likely to undermine the licensing objectives? We say not. And we say, as your policy says, that all of the protocols and procedures around review, closure, enforcement, planning, etc., offer you significant comfort that the sort of controls you would expect to see in association with a significant operating schedule that was, after all, drawn up effectively with the cooperation and collaboration of the authority and the Metropolitan Police, allows for this application to be granted as requested, and we invite you to do just that.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. The committee now will retire to take its decision in a separate meeting room. You are welcome to remain at the meeting to hear the committee's decision. However, this might take some time. If you don't want to wait, a summary decision will be published on Council's website tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask the committee members to turn off their video and microphone and join me in the private room. And as soon as we come back, the next hearing will follow after we are okay, yes?
Can I just ask one thing, Chair? Forgive me. Are we okay to depart for, say, 20 minutes? Is it fair to conclude you won't be back for 20 minutes, just so that we can use the facilities and just step outside the room? 6 of us in this room, so it's a little bit stuffy.
Okay, we give you 20 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, committee members, can we move to Is everybody in?
Yeah, Chair, no. But we're waiting on Emmanuel at the moment, and one of the objectors and Adrian. So there's a few people waiting on the moment.
Okay. We give them.
The objector, Mary Cameron's come off the call, Chair, but as you explained before deliberations, obviously a summary decision will be published tomorrow, so she doesn't have to be present for you to read the decision. I think you can proceed with the decision now, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Summary decision of the license subcommittee. National Hotel Citizen M, basement to level 4 Olympia Exhibition Center, Hammersmith Road, W14 8UX. The committee has considered an application for a new premises license for the following licensable activity under the Licensing Act 2003. The application, the sale of alcohol both on and off premises, the exhibition of film indoors only, the provision of late night refreshments indoors only. In summary, the committee have decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of 4 licensing objectives, to 1, grant the application in full as follows. The sale of alcohol both on and off premises, Monday to Sunday, between hours 00 hours to 00 hours, residents and bond valid guests, Monday to Sunday between 07 hours to 00 hours, non-residents. Seasonal and non-standard timing for non-residents of the hotel only. All licensable activities extended to 2 o'clock in New Year's Eve, with premises closed 30 minutes thereof. The exhibition of films indoors only, Monday to Sunday between hours 00 hours to 00 hours. The provision of late night refreshment indoors only, Mondays to Sundays between 23 hours to 05 hours. The 2, proposed opening hours of the premises are Monday to Sunday between 00 hours to 0000 hours. 3, the licensing is subject to any mandatory condition. 4, the license is subject to condition volunteered by the applicant on the operating schedule. The license become operational within immediate effect. If problems are experienced, then an application for review of the premises license can be made. A copy of this committee's full decision, including its reasons and full text of the condition added to licensing, will be sent to parties forthwith. If applicant or any person who has made a relevant representation is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the magistrate court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. Thank you very much. So we go now to the next agenda.
Chair, sorry, legally we need to wait until 8 o'clock because it's been listed in the agenda to public notice. So I appreciate it's only a couple of minutes, but if everyone can stay on the call, I'll just put the adjournment tile up and mute everyone just for a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's great.
YouTube is live. You can proceed with the second item now.
Thank you, everyone. I think everyone is here again. Yeah, I think we go straight into the agenda, which is item 3, which is Everton House Hotel. Haiti and Olympia Exhibition Center, Hammersmith Road, London West 12, West 14, 8UX. So I would like to ask everyone participating to introduce yourself as I call on you. I don't think the numbers have changed, but I'll call the first names. If that is okay, I'll call Matthew. Matthew?
Yes, good evening, Chair. My name is Matthew Phipps. I'm here to present the application on behalf of the applicants this evening.
Okay, we have Dominic.
Hi there, Dominic Holmes, Development Director at U Capital.
Okay, we have Louise.
Hi, yeah, resident engagement for Olympia.
Okay, Andrew.
Hello, yes, I'm Andrew Thompson. I'm the Operations Director for the Olympia Estate.
Okay, I have Abby.
A Berry, Director of Hospitality for Olympia.
Okay, we have Tom. Tom? Okay, we have Lona, licensing officer. Lona?
Yeah, present chair.
Okay, we have Adrian.
Thank you, Chair. Adrian Overton, licensing manager at Hammersmith and Fulham.
Thank you. We have Emmanuel.
Present.
Okay. Okay, we have the objectors. We have Per. Per, you here?
Yes, Councillor, I'm here.
Okay, we have Mary.
Mary's off the call now, Chair.
Okay, Mary's not here. Okay. Okay, procedure. Before we begin, I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda, supplementary agenda A, containing additional information, was published and circulated to all parties on 15th of April 2024, and supplementary agenda B was published and circulated to all parties on 16th April 2024. Supplementary agenda C was published on 16th of April 2024. Before we consider the application today, please, may I quickly explain the procedure the committee will follow. We will hear from the following: the licensing officer, the objectors, finally, the applicants. So usually each party will address the committee for maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee will ask questions to any party or other person present at the hearing, except committee members. No party has the right to ask questions to other party at any time during hearing. Following the presentation and questioning, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up their cases or representation. Then committee will retire for deliberation. Upon its return, I will announce committee's decision. So can I have the presenting officer to present the case?
Yeah, thank
Lona,
you, Chair.
thank
On the
you.
26th of February, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. No worries. So on the 26th of February 2024, TLT solicitors submitted an application on behalf of the Olympus Property Holdings Limited, the applicant, for a new premises licence in respect of the premises known as the Emberton House Hotel Hyatt, Olympia Exhibition Centre, Hammersmith Road, London, W148UX. The applicant proposes to operate the premises as a hotel with all the facilities ancillary to that function, including the licensable activities. The applicant has applied for the following licensable activities to be sought, which is the sale of alcohol both on and off the premises, Monday to Sunday between the hours of midnight to midnight for residents and bona fide guests, Monday to Sundays between the hours of 7 a.m. till midnight for non-residents. The exhibition of films indoors only, Monday to Sundays between midnight to midnight, and the provision of late night refreshment indoors only, Monday to Sunday between the hours of 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. The seasonal non-standard timings are for non-residents of the hotel only. That all licensable activities are extended till 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve, with the premises closing 30 minutes thereafter. The proposed opening hours are Monday to Sundays between midnight to midnight. The application has been advertised in alignment with the requirements of the Licensing Act 2003, and during the consultation period, the licensing section received 12 representations from local residents objecting to the overall 20 applications submitted for the Olympia development. There have been no specific objections to the hotel, and therefore it is important to note that not all the comments are relevant to the application being considered this evening. There has been some adverse enforcement history for the current Olympia premises, which is outlined in the report, and I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda, that there was supplementary agenda item A, which contained additional information from the applicant, which was published and circulated to all parties on the 15th of April 2024, and supplementary agenda items B and C, which contained additional information from the objectors, which was published and circulated to all parties on the 16th of April. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Lana. Can I ask the objector? Pierre, you are the only one here, so I'm going to allow you 5 minutes to do your presentation. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. And without repeating what I said earlier, regarding this specific hotel, the main concern here is around public nuisance and disturbance to the residents, particularly during the night and day caused from traffic. This hotel faces Macquarie Road, and on the entrance of Sinclair Road. This is a one-way system where you come from Sinclair Road and then you turn right to exit basically the Olympia site on Bright Road. As per, I mean, it's not clear, but based on Olympia's representation, it seems that the hotel entrance is on the Olympia Way, and the access from taxis and Uber will be in front of the current Olympia car park. That means that all the cars and taxis that are related to this hotel will need to turn left into Macquarie Road, which is a one-way street, and it's a closed street, make a U-turn, drop the resident, drop the hotel guest, make a U-turn, and come back out of Macquarie Road. Now, experiences, having lived nearby in Sinclair Road, is that all it takes is 5-6 cars to try to U-turn into that road to roadblock the whole Sinclair Road area and subsequently Macquarie and Nazareth Road. So there is a significant concerns around traffic, despite hotels being not a very high capacity, but with the potential to attract significant number of taxi and Ubers. That's one. Second one is relates to the question that Councillor Stanton asked earlier around deliveries and management disposals. In this particular hotel, from the plans shown on the planning application from Olympia, there is a loading bay which faces Sinclair Road, so Macquarie Road and Sinclair Road, which is a high residential area. So it's not clear again how these trucks will, at what time of day and night, and how they will make their operations in front of what are residential buildings. We have not been able to clarify that with Olympia. And finally, on this hotel, there is a green roof presented in the planning applications, which initially Olympia said was being only a green roof, so a decorative green roof. Lately, it seems that the green roof now can be accessed by hotel guests, not clear at what date of the time and of the day or night. And this green roof is facing a residential building on Macquarie Road and Sinclair Road. So with the potential of disturbance. Furthermore, on this hotel, there's planned to be bars and restaurants, one of which will be using a separate roof terrace, which again perhaps is not part of these specific applications, but with the potential to disrupt again peace and quiet during the night. So unlike the other hotel, which was a more restricted and smaller type of facility, this one has the potential to cause disruption just because of the traffic, loading facilities, and utilization of outside areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Piers. Okay. Can I ask the Matthew, the applicant solicitor, to speak? You have I'm going to allow you 5 minutes because Mary is not here. Mary didn't speak, so this time has to be 5 minutes for you. But if you wish to speak longer, let me know.
Thank you, Councillor. I will do my level best to not exceed the allotted time within the procedure. So this is an application for what will be known as the Emberton House Hotel. It's proposed that it will be a Hyatt hotel. There is a presenter, materials, and the submissions attend to issues about Hyatt. I'm sure it's a name with which you and colleagues are familiar. It's proposed to be a top-end hotel, one of their Regency brands, and that is touched on in the presented materials. It is a limited application, midnight, no recorded music, no live music. Film is effectively to facilitate in-room service. There are restrictions on non-residents. There is no licensable external licensable It's right that some of the rooms have a modest-sized balcony effectively outside of them, but that is not a licensable part in the sense of any communal space. It's outside, I think, 5 bedrooms. The application is strictly controlled. There is an extensive operating schedule with which you will be familiar. That was drawn up in collaboration and cooperation with the Metropolitan Police and the Licensing Authority. There are additional levels of control, not perhaps before us today, but planning, construction, lease obligations, management obligations, and the public realm overlay, on which point I'll return. There's a significant volume of papers in front of you. The operating schedule, I've mentioned the presenter as well. Some comment about your policy. The submissions are set out and are, as you will see, extensive. There is the Olympia-wide presentation, residential engagement report, the Westfield permitted hours, and then there are some, well, I call them photographs, but actually they are visual images of the anticipated decor and design of the internal configuration of the Hyatt element, as well as the pre-application consultation report, the map setting out where other premises are situated in proximity, the application, the planning, and the representations. I am going to address you in line with the previous application. Obviously, each application will be considered on its individual merits, but I will be slightly briefer on a couple of the topics, if I may. So just starting with the Westfield point, there is contained within the materials the research that we undertook of the licensing register, setting out the hours that are permitted. We can't comment on the chosen operating times, but the point that was made in an earlier hearing by your licensing officer helpfully is it would appear to be fairly corroborated by the Pizza Express premises. I believe it was Pizza, forgive me if it's different pizza. Pizza Express premises, which appeared to have more extensive permissions, I think, going until midnight at that location. Transport is, we say, significant. The PTAL assessment I will not take you back through, but we do say unashamedly that that is an objective assessment undertaken by Transport for London as it is, and your licensing policy corroborates that, as does the licensing officer's report at page 5, paragraph 3, which talks about the several options for departure. I suspect we will come back to the issues of taxis. That seemed to be more the focus perhaps than parking or the range of other facilities. Just to touch on parking, the legal test and your consideration set out page 21 of your policy 3. It relates to the hours element of the policy, and it talks about harmful and unmanageable increase in car parking with negative impact on licensing objectives related to crime and disorder, antisocial behaviour, and so forth. I am not proposing to address you on that at any length. It is, I hope not to presume anything, but it is difficult to anticipate that there will be harmful and unmanageable increase in car parking as a result of this hotel, and reference has already been made to the number of rooms, which, whilst larger than the Citizen M, I think is capped at 240. I'll not take you back through all of the commentary about residential engagement. There has been, I would suggest, on any view, very significant residential engagement. But I will make the same point that I made before, that whilst we are entirely respectful of the fact that we have not been able to satisfy everyone, and that's articulated in one of the representations, as we know, 11 representations against an engagement and dialogue with 7,000 going back some years, 500 on email, 70 on drop-in, 200 feedback forms, and so forth, we say does rather speak for itself, and in a positive manner, I say unashamedly. The reference to cumulative effect and impact, it's a hotel is obviously the starting point for this. We will, I'm sure, in questions address the issues of the accessibility of Olympia Way and so forth. And I take the point that's raised now in the representation this evening about wanting to hear more about the waste management and so forth. The facilities, to pick up in perhaps in anticipation of a point from Councillor Stanton, the facilities are, forgive me for second guessing you, Councillor, but the facilities are limited, arguably more limited actually. If one looks at the plan, although there is a ground floor entrance area, that effectively is both the lobby and the bar. There is no dedicated restaurant. There's self-evidently no nightclub, banqueting facilities, function suite, ballroom, or any of that sort of thing. The bar facility probably accommodates, let us say for the sake of a number, 40 to 60. And there is what we are calling a grab and go, but a light bites facility. There will be a kitchen serving a limited but high quality in-room service menu, club sandwich, and that sort of thing, as you might expect. But the primary dining facilities, if you will not be conducted within the auspices of the hotel themselves. And it's anticipated, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but it's anticipated that the Pillar Hall, which is an application not before you yet, will be the primary food and beverage delivery point. Forgive me, I take it, Councillor, you're about to tell me to stop.
Exactly, because you have gone over 6 to 7 minutes anyway. Yeah, so now can I ask the committee members to ask questions in terms of 4 licensing objectives, please? Committee members? Yes, Councillor Stanton. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Phipps has stolen my thunder slightly.
Yes,
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I will pay that service back and say that Mr. Phipps said he was going to expand on the access through Olympia Way. So if I could ask him to do so, that would be great. Thank you.
So yes, I think in the context of the nuanced detail, actually, I'll defer to Dominic if I may. If I said I suspect I meant we.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, there is a one-way system around as Pierre said, around Blythe Road, Hazlitt Road, Sinclair Road. So we are conscious of that. But there will be a dramatic reduction in traffic around that one-way system owing to the change in the logistics at Olympia. Just to set the wider context on this, because of the 200,000 square foot logistics yard that we built at ground floor and basement underneath the Central and G-Gate buildings along Hammersmith Road. There will still be access to the car park though. There is a 220 space car park to the north of the site, which does use that route. And so we are conscious of that. But there are two options for taxi drop-off. And given the times that we anticipate hotel drop-offs versus people arriving for the exhibition events, which is why they would go to the surface car park, there is a difference in flow and arrival patterns. Generally, people arrive at hotels from 2 p.m. check-in time throughout the afternoon and into the early evening, whereas generally people for exhibitions will be arriving earlier in the morning, typically between 9 and 10 a.m. That's not exclusively the case, because that car park can be used for unloading and loading of vehicles, which could be at other times of the day. So that is a possibility. But there will be a managed system in place. For the hotel itself, it is possible for arrivals to press the intercom with the bollards that will be segregating the northern end of Olympia Way and the corner of the McLeese Road space for taxis to come inside the bollards to drop off. And then there is a turning point designed in outside the Hyatt where vehicles can turn around and come back out. Now, that can only be one at a time, and that has to be carefully managed because of the space restrictions. And there will also be a drop-off circle outside of that bollard line around that corner between the car park and the bollard area. So there will be the potential for vehicles to come, drop off and drive back down along McLeese Road. Now that will be a two-way section of road between the southern end of Sinclair Road and the northern end of Olympia Way for vehicles to come in and out of the car park. That has always been the case. And then vehicles will exit the site along McLeese Road because that is the one-way system. So that is how we will manage the drop-offs. We also anticipate that lots of people will get dropped off on the southern end of Olympia Way, given the proximity. It's a relatively short walk from Hammersmith Road to the car park, but there will be provision for both areas to be used.
Thank you. In terms of the period during set-up and set-down for kind of large events, currently, I know Blythe Road operates a traffic management system with, either one-way or stop-go in place. Will that be continuing once the development is completed? Because I can see, that can cause major gridlock in the area.
Yeah, and that's the case. I will just check with Jill while I answer this, but I think there will be no more traffic management orders.
Suggestions there will be no more traffic management orders in that area because the vehicles will not be coming down Olympia Way and round the back of Blythe Road to get into that position. So they'll be coming in and into the logistics area, which is accessed via Blythe Road and into G-Gate.
Okay, thank you. Chair, that's all of my questions at the moment. I don't think I have any further questions.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Councillor.
Chair, I've got a couple of questions, if that's okay.
That's okay. Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to ask some questions to Mr. Phipps, I think, from the applicant side, just about the sort of nature of the hotel. I am obviously aware of the Hyatt, but I'm not aware of the sort of different sub-brands within the group. From what you said and from what I quickly looked at online, the Regency is a sort of their upmarket kind of premium brand. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's exactly right. I suspect fair to say, not necessarily use the phrase upmarket. To be fair to Hyatt, I would say that the whole of the operations are probably in the higher echelon, but you will have seen the reference to Regency within the submissions, and there's a little bit of material about which other premises operate within the Regency moniker in the brochure, and upper end is very fair.
Yeah, but did I also catch that there isn't a function room in the design of the hotel at the moment?
That's right. So on the if one were looking at, I'll not take you through the plans, Councillor. You look at them when you get a chance. But effectively, the floors above the ground are bedrooms, for want of a better phrase, throughout. But on the ground, there is effectively a lobby entrance function space, which functions both as a check-in area, has the bar, has the grab-and-go facility, and so forth. That's the limit of it.
Okay, so it wouldn't be somewhere that people would go for wedding receptions, for example, despite the fact that it's a sort of luxury facility.
Well,
Councillor, it's my name is Tom Hawley. I'm part of the Olympia team. Just to clarify what Matthew was saying, there is nothing that could you could not have a wedding reception. That there are 4 small meeting rooms that might boardroom style meeting rooms that might take 8 people around a table.
Okay, I just wanted to check because at the moment, the Hyatt Regency website sort of refers to it having functions and sort of wedding. It could be a wedding venue and so on, and obviously they can come with sort of large cars and so on. And mindful of the road restrictions we've been discussing, but this particular Hyatt Regency wouldn't be suitable for that, and they wouldn't be marketing it for such.
No, Hyatt Regency is a brand that specialises and is closely connected to the convention business, convention and exhibitions, which is one of the reasons that we selected that particular brand. And so their expertise in working alongside the existing exhibitions business is one of the material things. Other regencies would do weddings and things like that. This one will not.
Okay, so because if in comparison, you've got the Novotel sort of down the road in Hammersmith at the moment, and they do have sort of large sort of groups of people, not just weddings, but sort of big conventions and so on. But they've got their own kind of parking and that can accommodate all of those, which obviously Blythe Road and this entrance doesn't. But it sounds like they won't be attracting specific groups. It will be encompassed into the traffic plans for the main Olympia site. So you would be expecting maybe taxis, maybe sort of small size vehicles, but not coaches, not sort of large, maybe a people carrier, but that's it.
Yeah, again, as we said in the previous application hearing, this is 204 rooms. This is very much not coach type business. You would expect the rate to be not in the same, the cost of a room to be significantly higher than that you might associate with coach related business.
I think it's worth saying that, sorry to interrupt, but the only other Hyatt Regency in London is the Churchill in Portman Square, and they certainly would do weddings. They have lots of function space, huge areas dedicated to it. So that may be where the website leads to a little bit of confusion.
Okay, no, that's all clear. Thank you. No further questions from me, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I saw Councillor Stanton. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, this is just a question to licensing. So Adrian, I think, just relating to this. Currently, the proposal or the expectation is that the brand would be the Regency brand from the Hyatt Group. There are obviously a number of different brands within the group, and the group could presumably decide to redesignate the branding. If that were to happen, if that were the case, because it wouldn't be a change of ownership, it wouldn't be a change of necessarily layout, but it would be perhaps a change of focus, or I'm trying to think of the right word, that there would be changes associated with that. Would that have any effect on the license that would be potentially granted today?
Well, thank you, Councillor. No, I mean, they could, I suppose, in answer to your question, they could change the outlook of the hotel and the way the hotel's used and to a different brand, and they wouldn't have to make any changes to the license if that's if that's what you mean. In the same way that a pub, for example, could change its offering, as long as the license holder remained the same. It could change from a gastro pub to a regular, type pub. So yeah, those changes could be made without making any changes to the license.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all from me, Chair.
Yeah. I don't have any questions myself. Any more questions from the committee members? And we go up to summing up. Can I ask the licensing officer to sum up? 3 minutes.
Nothing further to add, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask the resident Pierre to sum up? You have 3 minutes.
Nothing to add compared to my opening remarks, which I'm not sure have been addressed by Olympia. There are roof terraces here that are accessible by the guests in front of residential buildings. There is a narrow road, which only takes 10 cars to be roadblocked and roadblock the whole Sinclair Road. And it's not clear how these cars will, how this increased level of cars will be managed by the hotels. It's more than 200 rooms, and again, excluding even workers and so forth. That's the level of engagement that we try to have with Olympia. We never get real answers to the question we're asking for, but that's it.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask Matthew to sum up? You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just pick up 2 real points. The first is just in respect of the closing remarks from Pierre. Anxieties and concerns are raised with you and raised very articulately, but the question respectfully is, what is the likelihood of the licensing objectives being undermined? And I would suggest that the points that have been raised entirely legitimately don't allow for the fair conclusion that the licensing objectives of public nuisance or crime and disorder, or whatever it might be, would likely arise. Point 1. 2 is just to answer Councillor Stanton's point about change. Whilst the branding, if you will, would be, as Adrian has fairly said, be able to change just as it would candidly at any premises, anywhere, at any time, the conditions wouldn't. And the second condition listed in the operating schedule is it would have to trade as a hotel. The layout would have to be exactly as per the existing plan. The size of the facilities available for the bar, lobby, foyer, the 4 meeting rooms, I think on first floor, accommodating 30 people across 4 rooms. None of that could change without a formal application being presented. So whilst the point is entirely right about branding, anything of substance and anything that would candidly attach to the licensing objectives couldn't. I should just say in passing that our contractual terms are such that it is going to be a regency. We're not floating regency past you as a phrase. That is what has been agreed, and for the reasons that were touched on by Tom, I think the nexus with the convention or exhibition, as we would call it, business is obviously a point of significance for us. In the context of the remainder of the application, we believe that this is a good application. The licensing objectives will not be undermined by the introduction of a very smart hotel in this location, and your policy clearly sets out all of the measures that you can take in the event that we do not deliver to the standards that you would reasonably expect, or indeed deliver to the conditions that are set out in the application. And the final point on which I have to finish, and it would appear all the responsible authorities agree. And I would ask you to take that into consideration when you deliver it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I saw Pierre, your hands is up.
Yes, Councillor. I just want to clarify the comment that was made about how increased traffic does not affect public nuisance and therefore is one of the license objectives. And as I said earlier, it takes 10 cars to try to turn into the McLeese car park to roadblock the old Sinclair Road and the one-way system that there is around Olympia. And I wonder if Olympians have ever been living in an area where roadblocks and the noise of car honking constantly because they cannot go anywhere because it's a one-way system with people getting out of the car and shouting. And again, it takes 10 cars, and in the past it did happen many times, and only when the car park was in use, not when also the hotel was in place. That's the first one. Second, there is a significant reference here to engagement with residents. My experience with engagement with residents has been that there's been lots of drop-in events which I've attended, but nothing has ever been recorded in terms of what has been.
You had 3 minutes to say all those things, but you never said them. I'm afraid, I have to stop you because your time has already gone. I just allowed you a few minutes to express about the traffic, and traffic is not part of licensing objectives for us. So
it's public nuisance.
Public nuisance. Well, can our solicitor clarify this for us, please? Because I don't want PA to think we're not thinking of them as we are making a decision on this issue. Emmanuel?
Yeah, yes, Chair. Anything relating to traffic management is usually within planning matters. However, for licensing, we have to take into consideration anything that can be deemed as a public nuisance overall. So if points have been made that have been deemed to be public nuisance, then you can take into consideration. However, in relation to specifically traffic, that usually is dealt with under planning regulations, under traffic management orders.
Thank you for clarifying. And on that, we will take consideration when we go back to deliberate. So, Pira, I'm not going to allow you to speak anymore because we are going into deliberation. I've allowed you your 3 minutes and I've given you extra time. So we will have all those things considered as the committee takes its decision. Okay? So now the committee will take a decision in a separate room. You are welcome to remain in the meeting to hear committee's decision. However, this might take some time. If you don't want to wait, a summary decision will be published on council's website tomorrow morning. Can I ask members to turn off their video, mute their microphone, and join in the teams for the meeting deliberation? So, okay. Thank you, Charles. Is Charles?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, everyone is here now. Okay.
Yes, and I can confirm that the objector posted in the chat that he's had to leave the meeting, so everyone's here, so you can proceed with the decision, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Alberton House Hotel, yet Olympia Exhibition Center, Hammersmith Road, W148UX, the premises. The committee has considered an application for a new premises licensing for the following licensable activity under the Licensing Act 2003. The application, the sale of alcohol both on and off premises, the exhibition of films indoors only, the provision of late night refreshments indoors only. In summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of 4 licensing objectives, to 1, grant the application in full as follows: the sale of alcohol both on and off premises, Mondays to Sundays between 00 hours to 00 hours, residents and born fidel guests, Mondays to Sunday between 07 hours to 00 hours, non-residents, seasonal and non-standard timings for non-residents of the hotel only. All licensable activities extended to 02 hours on New Year's Eve, with the premises closed 30 minutes before thereafter. The exhibition of film indoors only, Monday to Sundays between 00 hours to 00 hours. The provision of late night refreshment indoors only, Mondays to Sundays between 23 hours to 05 hours. 2, the proposed opening hours of the premises are Mondays to Sundays between 00 hours to 00 hours. 3, the licensing is subject to any mandatory conditions. 4, the license is subject to conditions volunteered by the applicants in the operating schedules. This license become operational within immediate effect. If problems are expected, then an application for review of the premises license can be made. A copy of this committee's full decision, including its reason and full text of the condition added to the licensing, will be sent to the parties forthwith. If the applicant or any person who has made relevant representation is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the magistrate court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. With that, I thank you all for attending, and that ends tonight's meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Have a